Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Behind the Groove podcast. I am DJ Keo.
And I am Basil Barrington, and we are back to review The Colony. The Colony is a Netflix movie and came out in 2021. Again, this is something that I just watched the trailer, and I was like, oh, let me just add this to my list. And I sent it to you and said, hey, what do you think about this? And dude, this joint was off the chain, I think, man. It was, we were talking offline, and I was saying that I've seen so many movies like this with this plot. Humans destroyed the planet, the Earth, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, like nuclear holocaust, whatever it is. Humans destroyed the Earth. A small number of people survived. They had to go into space and create a colony just to live. Then, 100 years later, come back to Earth to see if they can even live there anymore, right?
Yeah.
So this is a plot that I've seen in a lot of different shows and movies and things. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a very straightforward plot of, Earth is destroyed, everybody flees to a better world, and then they're forced to come back for mysterious reasons. And this is just the moral dilemma from this was really interesting to me. Because so the humans leave. I guess we're getting the spoilers right now, but we do nothing with spoilers on this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
The humans leave, they go to this colony, and they're there for 20 years or whatever.
100.
And then it was a minute. It was a good minute. And slowly but surely, they discovered that they're becoming infertile by being on this planet.
Yeah.
Because you can't eat the food there, and everything's toxic. You can't go outside or whatever.
No vitamin D.
And there's no vitamin D, so they're suffering. And they decide, hey, let's send some probes back to Earth and see if we can come back. And so they send the first probe out, and they hear nothing else for a bunch of years. And they decide, in the plot of desperation, they send the second probe out to see what happens.
Yeah.
And how many people were in the probe? I think it was like 3 or 4.
I
think it's 3.
Yeah, I think it was 3 people. Like, one person died. The other person died as well. What's his name? Tucker. Tucker died as well. I don't know how the other person died.
Yeah, because they got out of this ship. I think they drowned.
She drowned. Yeah, she drowned. Yeah.
So the black guy, he got, I think he broke his leg. Something fell on his leg.
Yeah.
And so he was hurt, and it was Blake who was the only one that got unscathed.
Yeah.
And so the interesting thing about the planet is, they landed somewhere they thought would be habitable, but it has a high tide. Like, how high do you think this tide gets?
Dude,
it seems to be crazy.
It's like, I mean, imagine, it's almost like, on Foundation where,
the water world.
Yeah, the water world. It's just like, who thinks about, okay, so Earth is destroyed. The world is destroyed. The only place you can live is on a boat on water. And then you got to deal with the tides. It's just like, oh, man, that must be brutal, huh?
Yeah, because you got a time limit for how long you can live. You got to get back onto your boat. And then, you can't get wood. You can't, nothing can grow properly because the tide is destroying everything. It's bad.
Exactly. So
that's brutal.
You were talking about, when they sent the first ship, the Ulysses, and they lost contact. That ship did land, and people stayed from the original Ulysses. Obviously, Blake's father stayed.
They come back, and they discover, okay, Earth is fine. We can come back. No big deal. And so they're trying to figure out a way to send some kind of signal back up to the colony to let everybody know, hey, pack up, come back to Earth. Earth is good. We can all live here. And so Blake gets kidnapped, and Blake and who's the other guy, the black dude, Tucker. They get kidnapped, and they take their probe with them. Villagers, I guess we can call them that.
Well, they the first people who kidnapped them were the Muds.
Yeah, they call them the Muds. And basically, Tucker doesn't make it. It's a wrap for him. They throw him in the thing, and he's like, yo, they stabbed me, whatever. I'm not going to make it. So he basically kills himself with cyanide pill. And Tucker is trying to get her med kit so she can send up the signal that says it's still safe. And then hijinks ensue because they get kidnapped
Right.
from another colony of people,
Mhm.
and they drag her over to was it a shipyard?
Yeah, it looked
I guess.
like a
Yeah, it looked
huge
like they were
battleship or
building
something,
ship.
huh?
Yeah, and so he's trying to build a dam, I guess, to kind of prevent the
Harness
water
the
from overflowing
power
them.
of like, this
Yeah,
dam.
create
Hmm.
energy,
Right.
and I usually when these shows are sci-fi things and they have some kind of colony, all the smart people are up on the colony, and you're basically left with the idiots and the dumb people that aren't eligible to make it. Because all the smart, like that's what happened in the Expanse. All the smart people went to Mars, and all the dummies are working in the belt. Like it's the same concept. Like
The belters are dumb.
the primitive people there aren't the super smart people because they start talking ebonics or whatever. They're on the belt. No disrespect to the belt, but I'm just saying, like, you could clearly see smart people are on Mars.
Mhm.
You could,
What
that's a
about
clear
Kamina?
distinction.
Is Kamina like,
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the cream rises to the top,
right?
but like for the most part, all
Yeah.
the smart people are on Mars. And
Mhm.
the same thing happened here with Earth. All the smart people went up to this colony, and you're stuck with basic people getting back to caveman almost.
Well, okay, so the Earth was somehow destroyed. Humans destroyed the Earth,
That's
and
a fair
then
assessment.
right, and then those who were left, they were able to build this new colony, Kepler, um,
Hmm.
like Kepler. What was it, Kepler 209 or whatever? Um,
Yeah, yeah,
and so on Kepler, they realized that, hey, you know what? We can't procreate.
yeah. It's
So
going as
the
a wrap
whole
right there.
purpose, right? It's just like, okay, we're gonna destroy ourselves because we can't procreate. So
Hmm.
the Ulysses, when they sent the first one down, it was all about seeing if they can find a planet, Earth, where they
Hmm.
can be fertile. That's what this is
Yeah,
all about. This is all about,
save the race, save the human
right,
race.
exactly, being able to procreate and also like saving people who are on this planet that they didn't even know
Hmm.
about. The second Ulysses, Ulysses 2, was when, Blake and Tucker and everyone else landed. And,
Hmm.
that's why like in one part, in one scene, Tucker was like, test. And she just wanted to test like if she was fertile, and it said you're still infertile. And
Yeah,
then later
yeah,
on in the movie, looks like she, started her period. So,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You remember that part?
Things started
Hmm.
coming back to normal by being on Earth,
Right.
which is
Exactly.
interesting because
Yeah.
it's not like there's a lot of vitamin D or whatever you're getting, but I think it's just in the atmosphere or
Hmm.
something. Maybe because they have to be like hermetically sealed on that planet. They can't really
Yeah.
interact with germs, whatever's happening on that planet is developing in a way that stops them from having the basics of humanity, if you
Yeah.
will. The interesting thing here is that if the
Hmm.
colony comes back, they're basically just going to wipe out the people here,
The
whoever's left
Muds.
over.
Yeah. I mean, the Muds, they have
They're gonna
like
wipe
old
them out.
guns, they're like, yeah. So you had these two groups. You had the Muds, and I don't know what the other group is called. The Muds are the violent ones, right?
Yeah, and then
But the Muds are
the colonists.
the colonists. Okay. So it looks like that both groups are stealing little girls because they need to procreate. So they're like,
Well,
okay,
I
let's,
think the people who were stealing them were from the original colony, because they were snatching people up because they were looking for the girl, like that whatever that doctor is. What's his name? Gibson.
mhm.
He said that we're looking for the girls. Wherever he admitted that that's what they're looking for. So
Yeah,
I think he's been sending out search parties to find any colonists and snatch them up. Because initially, the who was the mother? She was there initially. I think that a while ago they were doing it. They were coming there on purpose and they were helping each other. And then they rebelled, and now they know because she knew to destroy the capsule. Because I was wondering, like, why on earth would you destroy the capsule? It's not really doing anything to you, but like they think they knew that what it was for, and if they could talk to the colonists, more people are coming, and you're gonna
right.
get a bigger issue with this.
Like, hey, yes, we can procreate. Here's the person. Here's the little boy. Here's
Yeah,
like, oh, I have a brother now. Here's the little boy right here.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
And it was Blake's father who, fell in love with this, like, mud or whatever she was, a
Yeah,
colonist.
he colonized them and give
Mhm.
them clothes and
Right.
shoes.
And he was like, well, the only way to find out if we can procreate is to do something with this
Mhm.
woman that I fell in love with. And, but there were also babies and kids and things like that around.
Yeah,
So
they're
they
kids.
knew you were able to procreate, but there was also just a lot of violence with these two sort of groups. And you
Yeah,
kind of
with the
needed some
colonists
like,
in the mud.
yeah, you kind of needed like some, maybe the Kepler people to come
Mhm.
down and like, start busting some
Be
heads
peaceful.
up, creating a
You want
government,
you want them to be
some
benevolent, but they're not going to be
rules and
benevolent.
regulations. Exactly.
If you're out of this colony, you're gonna have some strict guidelines, and more of that was coming down. They know
mhm.
that for just
Y-
without certain with the technology too.
so she was able to see her father. Like she thought her father was dead, and he was actually guy locked him up. Um,
Yeah.
and so they were able to find each other, and
Mhm.
things happened, and then she went to rescue her father as she was about to rescue just all the other kids that were ripped off or taken from this other
Mhm.
sort of group of people, and that's sort of the whole plot of it.
Yeah, that's the
Um,
moral dilemma
yeah,
of the show. Because like if you're thinking about it from the colony's perspective, they're like, we gotta repopulate the earth ASAP.
right. Mhm.
As far as the Mud's perspective, they're stealing our kids. Like, so you have
Yeah,
these two issues here, and you know the dilemma is like which is right, which one should you go with here? Because if the colonists come down, they could probably fix Earth to a little bit better than primitive, because
yeah.
they're just surviving at this point. But it's gonna come down to this other thing of where they're gonna steal the kids. So do you want that? I don't know. I like the movie because of that. It's asking that question. Like I like movies that like there's a gray area and you have to think about it on a larger scale than just here's some action and some guy shot something and yada 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 and done.
Yeah, here's one thing, right? So Narvik, which is I guess the warrior princess,
Yeah,
she
the
was the
mother.
yeah the mother, so she was like, hey, you know what? No, I'm going to get my daughter, right? Forget that, right?
Mhm,
Here we
mhm.
have these colonists and the Muds. They live on water, right?
Yeah.
But Narvik, when she went to go to the Muds to try to get her daughter, I'm sorry, go to the colonists to get her daughter back, she was
Mhm.
running over land and Blake was following her, right?
Yeah, I think that maybe the tide is a lot lower where they are, where the shipyard is.
Right. But you know what? The land it looks sort of like a mountainous area, right? They were running through
Yeah.
valleys, right? So it's just like, why did they set up shop on water and not land?
Well, that's the thing. Like, we don't know like the topography of the planet
Mhm.
right now. Maybe like this is the only place that's not dangerous to you, like, as far as toxics or chemicals or whatever. Maybe this is the place that has better food. There has to be a reason why the colonists moved to a place with this high tide.
Yeah.
There has to be, yeah, for colonists and
The
the people,
Muds.
the
Hmm.
Muds. There has to be some kind of logical reason why they decide to go to this dangerous region with the tide it goes how many 10 feet, 20 feet in the air. There
Yeah.
has to be a reason for this.
Dude, come. So once, if Blake were able, and I think they did send a message back up to Kepler, that hey, you
Yeah, I
know
think
what?
they got the message through. I think it
We
did.
are fertile. We can
Mm.
procreate down here. Once that happened, do you think that there's a sequel to this? Because it's like, okay, so we're fertile. You can come down and set up shop and start, procreating. You think there may be a sequel or what?
There should be,
There
because
should
like
be.
the universe is interesting.
Yeah.
Like I want to know what happened to Earth. I want to know what
Yeah.
happened to why they're in this area. Can they go? What's the rest of the planet look like? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
There's a lot of stuff I would like to know. Like what are the colonists like? Are they benevolent? Are they gonna come down and start blasting everybody? Like what's gonna happen? I don't know.
And
I'm there's more story to tell. I'll say
yeah,
that.
like for instance, like the people who are on the planet, like are they,
Mhm.
you know, people who survived whatever happened 100 years ago? Because
Mhm.
they look
Yeah,
young. They look
Yeah.
young, right?
Well, for sure. I think that that's what it is. The people that were left over from Earth, they evolved and
Mhm.
they got more primitive. But like, the other thing too is that I don't think this is like they're on another part of the planet, so they has to be wherever they filmed this in. There's like where was
They filmed it in Germany and
Germany?
Switzerland.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
because they weren't speaking English, they were speaking another language. So
Yeah.
for sure, it was a proper language. It wasn't like they're back to grunts and stuff like that. It was a real language.
It wasn't like the Gamorreans were speaking.
Just
You know,
barking, whatever. Like it
right.
was a real language.
Right. This is yeah, I was completely surprised with this. I actually watched this film
Mhm.
twice. I watched and then when I told you about it, I was like, "Hey, check it out. Maybe we can review it." And then I
Yeah.
watched it again and I was like, "This is actually a pretty good movie." Again,
Mhm.
okay, we were talking about this offline and also at the last review we did. This is a foreign film. What
He's
happens with
making
foreign
better stuff
films?
right now.
They think
He's ma
outside the box. They don't say, hey, these check boxes are on a whiteboard and we need to do
Mhm.
these things. A
Yeah.
foreign film, you know?
It's just better right now because foreign films are willing to take risks
Yeah,
and they're willing to at least talk about subjects that we're either bored of or it's just like, oh, it's not a money maker, so don't bother with this topic. Because bug out's the same type of thing where like these guys decided to do have a moral kanji or some kind of interesting topic,
yeah,
and they're doing it in a way that America would probably not do. We would have got basically for Bug Out and with this a crazy shootout and a car chase, and then the movie would have been done. Neither of these movies had a crazy shootout and the car chase.
yeah.
It's just basically a straightforward thing with a good story. And
And
I want
done.
more of that.
It's done really well. What do you think about how it was shot? Was the video crispy? Was it like it's done pretty
It
well?
was good. Like,
Yeah,
it's got that desolate, the dire
yeah.
feel of a dystopian nightmare type thing, and the
Hmm.
world is destroyed.
Yeah,
It definitely gave you that. It's like a Mad Max on water, so I guess water
exactly.
world.
Yeah. I think they have to give us a sequel because if we know that there are muds and also just this other group, the colonists, in that
Mhm.
specific area of the world of Earth,
I wanna know what's going on in the rest of Earth. What's
right?
happening
Are
here?
there other people who survive this?
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, I
Or
I don't know. This feels like it could have been, and we
mhm.
always say this too, like, oh, it would have been better animated, would have been better as a TV series, like just episodic. You could have freaked this out like if it was episodic.
What's the budget like for this? I never even checked.
They did say that box office was, I think it was $112,000 box office revenue.
Yeah, I think it was sold to Netflix, but I don't think
Hmm.
it kinda gave you kinda information about the technical side
Yeah,
for how much it costs and stuff like that. I don't know, like, I think that I would like to see more, like, the premise was good, the acting was decent, I wasn't mad at the acting, it was an interesting story, and I'm fascinated by this world, and again, with the dystopian future nightmare, nobody has any good future, all the futures are terrible. Anytime you watch one of these shows, it's always like,
Mhm.
"Oh boy, here we go. This future
It's
sucks."
like okay, we have to go back to. It's so many shows like this where again,
Mhm.
Earth is destroyed, people bounce, they go into space, and then they try to come back 100 years later, and then they
Yeah.
find out that there's like radiation, animals are weird,
Yeah,
three-eyed
got some
animals
kinda
and
something.
things like that. It's just like it's weird.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is clearly a foreign film, but they did have some American actors in there, didn't they?
Well, I know that Ian guy, he's British.
Okay.
He reminds me of Sean Bean because he plays tragic characters all the time. He was in Game of Thrones, and it's always a tragic character for him.
What about the guy who played Blake's father?
I have seen him before. I'm looking at it right now. I
Yeah,
have
I've
seen
seen
him.
him a lot, and I don't know this Tucker guy. He could be British as well. I don't know, but again, a foreign film. I thought it was shot really well. I thought the storyline
Mhm.
was pretty dope. Um, it was, and we talk about this a lot, where we talk about like if something is long or too long, right?
Yeah, it wasn't too long. It was a good pace.
This film was the perfect time. See, you can take something that is very interesting, and you probably shot hours and hours and hours of this. So you're doing your editing, you're doing your post. They broke that
Mhm.
down into a nice size where someone said, you know what, people, they're going to sit down and watch this start to end. That's exactly what I
Yeah.
did. This wasn't long. It was the perfect time length. I
Mhm.
thought this was a pretty dope movie. Again, a foreign film.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, another foreign film. It's solid. I I think that we probably have to start looking for more foreign films because
Dude,
we're
it's
doing
like,
stuff that America's not doing.
well, Netflix just signed a deal with the South Koreans where they're bringing on a lot of Korean films. I mean, The
Okay.
Silent Sea was Korean,
Yeah,
you
I still
know.
need to watch that. I think I'm probably gonna watch that this week.
That I mean, it's episodic. I think it's 6 episodes. Pretty dope. I mean, pretty interesting
Mhm.
storyline. I don't know. It seems like these foreign films, they take like a very standard plot, right?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
apocalyptic sort of like nuclear war or whatever, right? And put a
Mhm.
nice little twist on it and an interesting twist and say, you know what? We're gonna say, hey, war is all about water. Let's put a twist
Mhm.
on that,
Yeah.
right? The Earth is destroyed. People have to go move, live on in space. The twist is we became infertile,
Mhm.
so now we have to find a way to become fertile, or we're going to be gone.
Yeah. Extinction. Yeah, like
Right.
this is stuff I want to see more interesting movies or whatever that's got like it's these semi thought provoking. Like, don't get me wrong, I love a good car chase. I absolutely love a good car chase, but like
Mhm.
I'm ODing on car chases right now and just mindless gun battles, whatever.
Come on.
I would like some more good stuff. Like, if anybody has any recommendations of like stuff I could watch on Netflix or Amazon, whatever, let me know down below. I'll check it out. 'Cause,
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
I would like to see something else besides the basics of, superheroes or just a car chase, like,
yeah,
please.
I was there are some things that I've been watching that's pretty interesting. Um,
Mhm,
but hey, you know what? 95% of the stuff I've been watching that's interesting, it's all foreign
mhm.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I have some
I
Russian
don't know.
films like on
Mhm,
my list that I've been watching. A lot of the Russian stuff is like espionage or like, military stuff. Still done
yeah.
well, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I like to watch it in English and then like watch it in its original language, even though I don't understand it, but then put on the subtitles. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
okay, it's so much smoother. Like if you watch Big Bug, it's so much smoother in French, you know?
Yeah, yeah, you gotta do the subtitles and just let's do the 'cause, like, that's the way it's intended.
Yeah.
The dubs are pretty bad. I try not to watch the stuff with the dubs on
Hmm.
because it's just, like, it's distracting how bad the dubs are. It feels like
Yeah.
a
This.
70s kung fu movie.
Which was so the dubs was. I told you, man. There's a dub factory. Someone, the person, I'm gonna put this out there, and someone may take the idea, but I don't know. Maybe it's out there. Someone
Mhm.
needs to put a dub factory together, a dub lab, right?
I'm
And the
telling you, it's a
dub,
lot of the same people.
yeah, you can hear it. You can hear it.
Yeah,
The
absolutely, you can
dub
hear it.
factory will put the best people in place to
Mhm.
do some of these dubs, not just your standard, hysterical, person,
It's just like,
or
like
yeah, exactly. It's just like, okay, this is so weak. Um, but back to the colony, man, I was super impressed with this. It's,
Mhm,
what's interesting about these streaming services? Definitely Amazon, definitely Netflix, definitely Apple TV Plus. They're putting out, I think the competition when it comes to these streaming services, putting out excellent content, I
mhm,
think the competition is between Apple TV Plus, Netflix, and Amazon. Now, Paramount Plus does have a lot of content and a nice budget to start putting out more original stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Because they have a decent budget. They have some good shows on there
Yeah.
too.
Now Disney as a streaming service is just it's just like, okay, well, we got superhero stuff, we got like the Marvel
Yeah.
stuff, we got the Star Wars stuff. We know what we're getting.
Yeah, I think though there's too many options, and they got to kind of whittle it down to like three major companies.
Yeah.
I hate to say that because I don't like the idea of like three super companies running everything, but as far as streaming goes, it's
Charging
too
us up
much.
the yin yang.
It's too much. It's all over the place. It needs to be more centralized, or at least in one area. Or like if you can pay like a main fee, say like $60, and you can take a little bit from everybody, and everybody gets paid correctly. Like
Mhm.
just one company doing that, that would be fine too. So you could have it separate companies as it's on its own, or just pay for one main company that at least gets you. You can watch one show from Netflix, one show from Amazon, one show from whatever. Like it has to be centralized because it's
Yeah.
too much,
Yeah.
and like things are gonna die off because of that. Like they can't get to you.
Yeah, I
You know, like
think
everybody can get on YouTube, so like, it doesn't matter where they're from. Everybody can
right.
get to YouTube. You need that kind of thing.
What do you think about The Colony on Netflix?
I liked it a lot. I would give it, if we're gonna rate it, I
Yeah.
would say a 7.5.
Hmm.
I like the story. I like the premise. The whole overall feel of the movie. Like it's that kind of thing I like. It kind of reminded me of The Road. That's a super dystopian movie. It's disturbing too,
Hmm.
with people are cannibals or whatever. But like that color grading, where everything's like orange and
Yeah.
brown
Hmm.
and just look bleak. That's what that reminded me of. And a little bit of Mad Max, but just on water. It's
Yeah.
kind of got that like a Road Warrior type vibe to it. But like, yeah,
Mhm.
overall, I liked it a lot. I like the story. I like the acting as well. It was a good solid movie.
I'm going to rate The Colony a 7.5 as well. Oddly enough, or interestingly
Mhm.
enough, on IMDb, they gave it a 5.4.
Yeah, it's a 5. I don't agree with
It's
that.
just like,
I,
really? I
I
mean,
question this stuff.
if the film had no
Mhm.
words, almost like Fire, right? The movie The Fire or whatever, right? If the film
Yeah.
had no words and you were just looking at something that was beautiful in terms of just how it was shot, 5.4 was just how it
Mhm.
was shot alone. Now let's talk
Mhm.
about like the
Yeah, the
the, the
plot and the
storyline
story
and
and everything.
everything else, right? So it's just 5.4. I mean, it's just like it's whatever. It had like
That's
over
interesting.
10,000. Yeah.
That will say what you're saying is interesting. Like I didn't think about it, but this movie could have been done without any words. They didn't have to talk to give you impression about what's happening here.
Yeah. What was the name of that
That
movie
is
that came out in the theaters that had no words? Was it Fire?
which
It
one?
was
There's
about
a
fire. It was about fire, discovering fire. These like,
okay,
primitive like, Neanderthals, discovering fire or something like that.
okay.
I
No, I
forget
never
the
saw
name
that.
of it. Yeah, it was speechless. I mean, they had like grunts and
Mhm.
everything, but no discernible words. It was
Yeah,
pretty
well,
cool.
they could have done because they weren't speaking like I don't know what language they're speaking, but like they were speaking some Nordic language that you couldn't follow along anyway, and it wasn't like there's subtitles for you. So a good chunk of this movie could have been done without any words,
Yeah.
and you would have got the idea what's happening here.
Mhm.
And right when you said it, I was like, "Yo, that's crazy," but you're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely could have done it, and the emotional aspect would have been there. Same,
Right.
same. Like that's how good the story was. I don't know. Personally, I liked it a lot, and I like these kind of sci-fi space stuff, even the dystopian stuff. It drives me crazy. I still like these kind of movies and TV shows, and I don't know. I thought it was good. So you liked it? Is there anybody that you particularly liked in the movie, or is like anything that you drawn to you?
Obviously Blake was a rock star. So was Narvik because Narvik
Mhm.
was um almost like one of those like a strong Nordic woman, right? Didn't take no
Yeah, that
mess.
was a mother.
I'm going to get my daughter. You ripped off my daughter. I'm going to get her. I'm going to run 20 miles to go get my daughter back. You
Yeah, you
know,
got a timetable because the water's coming, so you got to go.
right. So her character, that was a very extremely strong character. I guess the character I did not like, I can't remember his name, but that was the guy who was trying to,
Oh,
you
the
know,
lackey guy, the guy,
yeah,
the underling. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. I wanted to punch that guy.
Yeah. He looked
What's his
weird
name?
too, didn't he?
Joel. Isn't it Paling or something? I think that's his
Paling,
name.
uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joel
Yeah,
Baseman. I think his name was
I did
Baseman.
not like that dude at
Yeah.
all.
He's
He
a
got a
little
little too
weird and whatnot.
handsy. I was like,
Yeah,
okay, here we
she
go.
gave old boy the cyanide pill, like, oh, God. She was like,
Yeah.
that was crazy. What
That was
about your
satisfying.
characters? What about your favorite characters in here?
I did like Blake.
Mm-hmm. She was a
Yeah, I
star of the
like the
show.
father too. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
like the father because like he got there initially. He was on board and he realized what they were doing was wrong, and he tried to stop it. He created an uprising,
Yeah.
basically split this part of the planet. So like I support that. I respect that, at least on his part. Like he could recognize what they're doing is wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess they thought they were being moral or helping these poor mud people. The fact that you call them mud is like, how degrading is that?
Right. It's
You
just
feel like they're
like,
beneath you, but like, yo, this is your people too.
you see,
You went to a colony, you think you're above everybody else.
that
Like,
is a
come on,
very good
man.
point. Here you go. Okay. The earth, humans destroyed themselves, the earth,
Mhm.
because, we categorize things, blacks, whites,
Mhm.
muds, colonists, so it's just like whatever sort of derogatory name you want to, think of or create. That's what happened
Mhm.
even with the, Ulysses 2 coming back to the planet, to Earth.
Mhm.
And these Earthers, who left, who came down from
Mhm.
Ulysses 1, they started calling these people muds, a derogatory term. You
Yeah,
don't even
just
know
looking
these
down on
people.
them.
Right, exactly.
The balls on these people. And again, if you really think about it, right, there's a high probability that the people who went to the colony are responsible for why the Earth is messed up.
Right.
If you really think about it, most likely these guys are responsible in some way, shape, or form, or
Yep.
they're too much drilling one place or too much whatever. Science, let's say quote unquote science,
Mhm.
is the reason why Earth has got messed up in the first place.
Yep.
And
That's
these
true.
guys are coming back all arrogant, looking at everybody down on them like that. That was
I'm a
wild. I thought
Kepler.
that was interesting.
I'm a
Yeah,
Kepler. I'm better than you. Like,
yeah,
no, you
singing
can't even
songs and
procreate.
everything.
She was like, Blake was like, they even have kids. They have babies here. It was just like, wow. Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Behind the Groove podcast. I am Basil Barrington.
I am DJ Keo.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And until next time, peace.
All right.